Hi people, welcome to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be sharing 5 quick meals that you can make for your children for school lunch. Now I'm not in any way saying that my children have these 5 times a week. A lot of times we would repeat 1 or 2 meals, but I'm just giving you ideas or meals that you can make very quickly or make from leftovers that you have lying around the house. So the very first meal is rice and chicken vegetable stew. That's what I'm making. I love vegetable stew so much, but let me know if there's another name you would call this. So this green mix is just a mixture of green peppers, spring onions, and a little bit of scotch bonnet, green scotch bonnet. So I just fry this. I fry my peppers and tomato mix as well. Usually I would use less tomatoes than peppers. That's how I make my stews these days, and then I dry the water, and then I'm just going to fry this with the green pepper mix and just leave it to cook for a long time. I'm going to leave it for about 10 minutes, and then I'll put all my seasonings. So I would use Maggi cubes. I put a bit of crayfish. Sometimes I don't do this all the time, but sometimes I put a bit of crayfish, some onion powder, adobo, salt, and then that's all. So I'm just going to stir this, and I'm going to let this cook for about 10 minutes on very low heat. So once this is cooked and my oil has settled at the top, I'm going to put in my chicken stock and my chopped ugu leaves. Now this is not something I would typically make on the morning of school. I would make this a day before, so that in the morning all we need to do is warm the stew, cook rice, and maybe fry plantains or give them with bananas or cucumbers or whatever it is they're going to have with their rice. But I'm just showing you a different version of stew that I make, because the addition of the ugu and the crayfish makes such a huge difference, so it doesn't taste like my regular tomato stew. So these days I've been giving them a lot of plantains, because plantains are a lot cheaper than some time ago when they were really expensive. They were gold. Now they're a lot cheaper, and because the weather is very hot, they get ripe very quickly. But for some weird reason I cannot stop buying them in large quantities, so most times I have them in my store and they get very ripe, and so when I fry them they're really soft and very soggy. But yeah, this is what school lunch is looking like today. So another lunch idea that is a favorite of mine is boiled plantains and egg stew. And I boil plantains with the back just so that they're not very soggy. When you boil them like that, they stay firm, and when you cut them, you know, they don't just get messy all over the place. And I've also realized that there are different versions of egg stew, but I think once you use any kind of tomato base to make your eggs, then you can call it egg stew. I've seen egg stew that is a lot thicker. I've seen egg stew that is a lot thinner, or like watery, or like has a looser consistency than the one that I made now. So what I do is I fry my onions, I fry my garlic and ginger paste, put in some blended tomatoes and pepper. I would always have some of this in the freezer, whether in large quantities or even leftovers, so I like to use it for egg stew. I'm just going to let this fry properly, and then put in my ingredients in my eggs or in your sauce. So I usually would have bouillon cubes, salt, a bit of thyme. What else? If you want to put some sardines, you can also do that, but I had leftover yellow bell peppers and green peppers, and I think a bit of spring onions. So I'm just throwing that in and I'm stirring it, and this tastes so delicious. I think the addition of the green pepper and the spring onions at the end really made such a huge difference. So the next meal that I'm going to be making is jollof rice and beans with grilled chicken. Now this is definitely not a meal I can make on the morning of school preparation. It is impossible, and I'm not going to wake up way earlier to make this. So what I do is that the day before, I pick my beans, I boil it, and then I put it in the freezer. I also boil my chicken and grill it the day before, so that in the morning I can just bring everything out, even if it means bringing it out a little earlier than usual. So usually maybe by 5 a.m. I can bring out all the things in the freezer. Or what I will do is that before I go to bed, I move all the frozen things to the fridge so that they gently and slowly thaw, so that in the morning I just get straight into it. So I decided to use palm oil for this. Not even sure why I made this decision, but I just wanted to have palm oil as my base. So I'm bleaching the oil. Once I'm done bleaching the oil, I'm going to go through the process just like you would jollof rice. I'm going to fry my onions, my tomato and pepper mix, some tomato puree, put all of my ingredients in, let it fry for a bit, then go in with my rice, which I usually parboil on the morning, on that morning, and then mix in my beans and use a foil to cover it so that it retains that moisture and it's not too dry. And then I'm going to leave it to cook on very low heat. So the next meal we are making is jollof macaroni, and if this is exactly how lunch goes 5 times a week, you can tell that by now I am getting really tired and I'm struggling to figure out something to make. So I'm going to make jollof macaroni just because I don't want to give them rice. So we're going through the same process. As you can see, I had some leftovers. So usually when I want to make things like this, I just look in my fridge or look in my freezer, and hopefully I hope to God that I have something reasonable to just throw in if I did not plan the day before properly, or I was so busy the day before. So of course I had some green onions and some spring onions, some green pepper and some spring onions, and so I just threw that in. And I'm also going to be using leftovers too. So you can see that towards the end of the week, it's like I'm at that point where I'm getting really tired, and I'm hanging on by thread. So but this was delicious, by the way. This was really, really good. I usually would not use foil to cover macaroni because it cooks quicker than rice, but I noticed such a huge difference with this. It was a lot more what's the word, it had a lot more moisture, let's just put it that way. Yeah, it wasn't as dry as it would usually be when I don't use the foil. So I think you can always use foil whenever, at whatever time, no matter the meal you're making. So this was delicious. So we're assuming that this is Friday and we're making white rice and a failed chicken stir fry. It was supposed to be stir fry, but it ended up being a failed chicken stir fry. And I'm going to show you how. So these are all my ingredients. I was so disorganized on this day. I even had tomato and pepper mix. What is that doing in a stir fry? I never make my stir fries with tomato mix. So what's that doing there? I woke up confused. And so I just threw everything together. The night before, I brought out my chicken breast, and I saw that I had leftover bell peppers and green pepper, red bell pepper, I think yellow bell pepper, I'm not sure. I had some sweet corn, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put this together and make it a stir fry for the girls to take to school. I would usually add honey, soy sauce, oyster sauce, ketchup, what else, I think that's all. And once it was done, I took it out and then went in with my onions and my ginger and garlic paste. So once this is done, I'm going to throw in the only bell peppers I had in my fridge, which really wasn't enough. I would usually use more than this. I threw in some sweet corn. I've never used sweet corn to make stir fry, but I just needed it to have a bit of body. Put in my ingredients, onion powder, a bit of pepper, thyme, curry, bouillon cubes, and then I stirred that. Now I had also mixed in some corn flour with a little bit of water, but I had too much of corn flour, and so when I was stirring this, it was so thick. I had to include some water, and then I had to put some chicken stock as well, so it ended up not being a stir fry. It now looked more like a chicken curry sauce. But yeah, that was school lunch for that day. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave me a comment, let me know what you think about this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.